I guess it's time to get digging it.
Well, we've survived the first night. Got a pretty decent night's sleep. It's about 8:30 now. I think I got up at about 8 or so. You still see heavy smoke in the air from the fires. I'm guessing that since the sun's coming from the east, they're probably the southwestern Oregon fires. But I managed to get my little warming fire going here. This is pretty much just to kind of get some smoke in the air and chase the bugs away. I don't really need the heat. It's probably 60, somewhere in there, 65.
Yeah, it's about 9 o'clock in the morning. Now, making my first walk around. Kind of seeing what's out, seeing if there's any critters hiding around. Not having much luck other than a couple of blue jays that come into camp, but we got a little bit of food set out for them. See if we can draw anything in anyway. But the wind hasn't started picking up yet. The water is crystal clear. A little bit cold, so I think I'm gonna wait for a little while before I actually get out there and play around. I might take the metal detector down here to the rocky part of the beach. But we'll let you know when we get started. Here's another story from Characters, Legends, and Mysteries of Curry County, Oregon by Walt Schroeder. It's called Nugget Tom's Lost Gold Ledge Mine. Nugget Tom had an uneasy feeling that day in 1871 when he had found several large pieces of quartz rich with free gold near Star Mountain. He felt he was being watched as he hammered along the ledge prospecting for the yellow metal, but when he found the rich gold-bearing quartz, he momentarily forgot his fears, lifted his arms, and yelled. Excitedly, he kept digging out the gold quartz, but the feeling returned that he was being watched. He would whirl around and look back behind him, eyeing the bushes and other places where something could hide. What could it be that was watching him? Another miner? A bear? A cougar? He just had that feeling and it would not go away. With his pockets and pack sack full, he headed back to his cabin. The pack was heavy, so Tom sat down on the ledge to rest. Suddenly he was falling down the sheer cliff, dashed on the rocks below. The next day, a search team of his fellow miners found him, unconscious and pretty much broken up. They carried him back to his cabin and patched him up as well they could. Noticing a lump in Tom's pocket, one of the search party pulled out the richest piece of gold-bearing quartz he'd ever seen. But Tom, though still barely alive, was unconscious and could tell them nothing. Two of the men went back to the cliff where they had found Tom, and there they found his pen, pick, and shovel. The gold quartz that had broken out of his pack sack was all around the ground. They took it all back to camp in Hurley to talk to Tom, to find out where he'd found the gold, but Tom was still unconscious. Many days later, Nugget Tom opened his eyes and tried to get up, but his body would not move, and he knew he'd be down for a while. He spent weeks recovering, all the time thinking about the gold-rich ledge, and the ledge where he'd sat down to rest. He knew the ledge had not given way and that he had not slipped. He was certain someone or something had pushed him off that ledge. The next spring, Tom was well enough to get away from the cabin and try to find his gold ledge. This time, in addition to his pan, pick, and shovel, he carried a gun and vowed to use it if he had to. His fall had erased the memory of where he had made his strike. Try as he might, he could not locate it again. Tom would not give up his search, even though he was now 76 years old and feeble. He kept looking until he turned 80, then he left the South Fork country. 20 years later, in 1899, two prospectors named Robbins and Benson set out in the spring to find the lost mine of Nugget Tom. They started up Star Mountain and finally found a small stream bed that led them to a source of water, the little spring that dried up in the summer. In springtime, the water was rushing out of the spring. They had saw a ledge was above the stream and were sure they had found Tom's long-lost mine. As they dug out the ore, crushed and washed it, they found gold. It was a rich find, but not the one that Nugget Tom had located. At noon, they broke off for lunch, frying their bacon and bannock over a little fire, and congratulating themselves on their find. Lunch over, they went back to work. Just like Nugget Tom, they had a strange feeling they were being watched. One of the men rolled around and tried to pull his gun, but his hand froze with fear, would not move. He watched a huge, powerful creature covered with yellow hair throwing all their camping equipment over the cliff. When they finally recovered enough to fire off a few rounds, the wild man disappeared into the brush. The two frightened prospectors named their claim the Wild Man, and soon sold it after. The new owners never minded it because by the time they were ready to go into the mine, they had heard the story of the hairy monster and the unexplained deaths of the other miners on the South Fork. Was it possible that one of the Swallows had pushed Nugget Tom off the cliff? The description given by Rob very precise and compared with description given by Doc Elgin a few years earlier. When you hike into the South Fork Sixes, be sure to keep looking over your shoulder. If you don't see a Bigfoot, you'll at least see more of that beautiful country. Alright, well, it's about 11 o'clock of day 3. I am packed up and will be heading out. I'm going to try and hit my favorite camping site on the way out. I'm not going to camp or anything. Can't have a fire there. That's why I didn't stay the day before yesterday when I first started. But I'm going to try and swing by there and maybe swing the detector for a little bit. It seems to be a little bit more popular than this area is. This is quite a ways up though. I figured I'd come down here and take one last look. I was down here earlier watching fish. There was about a 18-inch rainbow that was swimming up the stream there. I ran up, grabbed one of the cameras and threw it in the water. I don't know if I'll get it or not, but I'll take a look when I get home. But I've pretty much got everything packed up. In fact, I do have everything packed up. Soak the fire pit, make sure that it's doused. Can't stress enough, if you're in the woods, make sure you put out your campfire. Alright, well, so far I haven't had much luck looking for a place off the side of the road where I can play with the metal detector. My favorite camp spot ended up being taken. And the other spots that I've been around all have quite a few people, so I'm trying not to disturb anybody. I did find a trail over here. I don't know what it goes down to. I've never been here before, so let's go for a walk. I will say the water is absolutely gorgeous though. Absolutely crystal clear. Surf Fun, Allen Ranch. what that is in the water over there. We'll take a look. Bunch of quartz through that boulder right there. Find a gold vein running right through the middle of it. Well, there's quite a bit of quartz crisscrossed all throughout that entire rock. If I see any spots down here that look decent for the metal detector, I'll run a coil over it real quick. It's like somebody's old blanket or something there. But I don't see any little beach or anything where I could really play with a metal detector. Alright, well, the hunt continues. Well, we're still out here trekking for treasure. Climbed down the hillside there. Got down here. I checked this little spot of a beach. Haven't found a darn thing yet. We're going to keep going. Noticed on the other side there, I don't know if it'll show on the camera or not, but just to this side of that biggest rock, down touching the water, there's a cave over there. Looks like it's about the size for a bear. Maybe one of these days, if I ever get a flashlight or walk over there and take a look. Who knows, it might be the secret entrance to El Dorado.